mixing elevator. So let's get started. This time with a electronic music focused song from a German, I think, Gerald Senafius. So yeah, let's first listen and get an idea what's about the song. Yes, let's start. First of all, particularly in electronic music, you want to use the whole area basically. In general, as already said, I recommend to not having this general headroom, using the whole space, but being nice to the transients. And particularly in electronic music where you want to have a powerful kick and bass and snare, etc. Usually, so this structure tells me there's not enough energy of kick and snare, and it's, yeah, you want to control that a little bit more. And by doing that, you make yourself simply dealing with the problems which appear when you want to be louder. And I mean, electronic music is that's pretty crucial when you want to be competitive. You need to get loud, and this will be a little bit hard, but I've heard also a few other problems we need to look in. So from my perspective, this mix is not perfectly mastering ready, but I can show off a few things you want to look at. And let's start. So one of the first things is I can make a brief summary of what I hear. So problem one is a few phase issues with your synth sounds. We look into that. Problem B, kick has not enough beta portion. Problem C, snare has not enough body to cut through and become an equivalent to the kick. So in electronic music, it's always about balance between kick, snare, and subdivisions like head or so. In general, the lower mid-range area is a little bit underexposed, and the lower mid-range is important for warmth. And the next point we need to take care of is that from the synth and the filtering, etc., there is a little bit too much energy. So this is too piercing. and it's not in balance. So we need to control that. Probably we start with that. So let me just loop a little bit here and start with a suppressor. Here we go. And look where it lives. I don't know exactly. Probably we zoom in and we look for it by just listening inside here. So this is a split band compressor, which means the compression just takes place in the split band. It's basically a one band compressor, but it has more functionalities and some advantages. And particularly this HR version has a quite high mastering resolution. So I really like to use it. Let's listen to this area and try to figure out where this area is, which needs a little bit more control. Yeah, that's probably even not enough control. We need to control it a little bit more to integrate that. It's, if you look at the graphic analyzer, it's basically this stuff which is popping out here. It starts even a little bit lower, and it goes here a little bit crazy. And you can think of, so it's a pink noise flat graphic analyzer, and you can think of everything which pops out is popping into the limiter as the first thing, and making a mix mastering ready or compatible to the outside world means we need to control things which are out of the norm, and this is out of the norm. And while we have this analyzer open, you can see that we have here a vast bathtub situation in the low mids. And yeah, it's maybe okay, but this is caused also by the lack of snare body energy, which would live usually in the range of 250-ish, 220-ish, 300 when you have a piccolo snare, and probably 160 when you have a giant, super big wood snare, something like that. Let me toggle or tweak a little bit further here. So now this area is under control. This is great. Let's probably take care of the kick a little bit. Let's see where we are. I've toggled to my smaller monitoring system, and Yeah, it's still big enough so that I can hear a little bit of the kick, but the kick won't cut through on an iPhone or on a Bluetooth mono kind of thing. So what I'm missing is that you need a little bit of beta portion. I mean, in this case, you anyway don't have really electronic sounds. It's like yeah, electronic music with a natural drum set basically. And as a tip for mixing, when you have the kick, make one EQ ready for the beta portion, for the high frequency patch, which is lives, yeah, depending on the kick, often in the range of 2K or so. And here in the mastering, I can't grab it without making things louder, which are already on the top edge. I can't catch it separately. What I probably can do is I can try, let me see. Let me try to use the multiband envelope shaper, but I doubt that we can squeeze out enough attack here. Let's just listen to the baseband. Yeah, it will be almost impossible to. I mean, what we can hypothetically do is we can use a dynamic EQ and drive it with a sidechain from the kick so that the dynamic EQ always drags up the beta portion, but it will take the other events which are happening here in the 2K area with it. So when I would do that, this area basically will be vastly affected. And let me solo this area here. This is exactly the area we just tried to get under control. And for that reason, we won't succeed perfectly here. Now, listen a little bit to the snare. Let me make this bass thing mono for the moment. The snare thing, I can also make it mono. Listen just to the snare for a moment. It's just the high area. It's low cutted too much. And you need to focus, or you need to create a balance between this body portion of the snare and the strainer section of the snare. And here again, we are in trouble to make it happen in the mastering process. So we can trick around a little bit, but seriously, mastering should not be about mixing things, because when we really can focus on tiny steps in the mastering process, we can make something happen with tiny steps, and we can really focus on building the stage, creating depth, creating unity, and all that kind of things. And always when we try to repair things which are not perfect in the mixing, then we create collateral And basically, when you fix it in the mix, you don't create collateral. You can just nail it, and that's way better. So let's try if we can find and grab a little bit body from the snare. Yeah, off the snare. You can see I just moved up here to the strainer area to show that there's more snare energy. It's not so easy to grab it with an EQ because you will take all the other stuff with it. So first add more attack, beta portion to the kick. Second, add more body to the snare to create a great balance. So you can feel that basically when it's kick and snare and head need to have a good balance to make you move and shake. When the snare is too heavy as opposed to the kick, then it falls always a little bit, stumbles a little bit to 2 and 4, and when the snare is too soft, then it doesn't groove as much. So the snare needs to be, it's like a puzzle thing. So the snare really needs to fit between the kick strokes so that you have a good balance between kick and snare. Very crucial. What we can do here is we can look for low mid-range and see whether we can do something to warm it up or figure out if we create collateral damage with that. It already gives the snare a little bit more. This is great. But I mean, I don't know exactly what your aim is, your vision. So usually a mastering engineer needs to talk to the customer and figure out what's your vision and go for it. Or in the most ideal situation, the mix is so good that it speaks for itself and the mastering engineer instantly knows, oh, I need to do this little moves to bring it to perfection. So this is the ideal thing. When a mix is imperfect, then the likelihood that you don't like the master of your favorite mastering engineer is pretty big because there's too much room for interpretation. And yeah, let's listen a moment and see what we can do next. I hear in the kick there's a double stroke. You can hear that basically when we go here and solo this. Listen to the double stroke. Right? And this this double stroke, the 16th note it's blurry. You want to to work this out, and I think also with more attack it becomes more separated. And yeah, the other thing is it's a competition situation here between bass and kick, because both live in the same area. By having more beta portion, you basically can move the kick a little bit higher, and the bass makes a big bass and the kick makes a big boom, but they don't fight against each other. When they need to live in the same area, you want to establish a decent sidechain compression on the bass. And as a rule of thumb, when you compress the bass driven by the energy of the kick, make sure that your gain reduction is in a range of 2 to 3 dB, not more. Don't make drastic things. Take care of the length of the release time, because you want the kick comes and goes. It's not a long event. It's not a boom which has a long release time. It's like a relatively short event. In other words, you don't want to have a release time of 400 milliseconds. Doesn't make sense, because then it's recognizable that your bass is kind of changing the volume. You don't want to hear that. You just want to hear the kick cut through, but you don't want to hear that the bass is going away. Basically, the kick is just replacing or taking place of the spot for the moment where the kick pops in, and as the kick goes, at the same moment the bass comes back, right? You need to basically mold the bass around the kick, and you don't want to hear that. I hear, when I receive mixes, I hear really abuse of sidechain compression of the bass, and this is not the trick. It leads to strange bass feeling, and it doesn't work out. So let's get out of solo here. And I would think this is, let's just have a tiny look here into the phase thing at the beginning. It's not visible here because correlation between left and right is how correlated is left and right. If left and right is an equivalent, it's 100% correlated. So the correlation meter is at +1 or 0 degree. So then it's mono. If you would play your music and everything is here at the top end, then the whole mix is mono. There's no stereo information. And basically, it's an energy measurement. It's when you have a whole lot of mono, or a whole lot of mono kick and bass, this makes the majority of the energy here in the bass area. Thus, you don't see underlying things, events which have a lower energy. You don't see them slipping into the red area unless you use it in mixing, where you hit solo and then you see it. And while we have this instrument alone here, we can see it here. Can you see how much information is going away when I hit mono? It's like in the club, the bass is mono. In many situations where people listen through this Bluetooth things, wherever on a garden party or in the park or wherever you do that, it's mono most of the time, and you would lose that information. And you want to make sure that this is at least living a little bit above this line here. So this makes total sense. And I think when you fix these things, then it's pretty mastering ready, and you can, run, yeah, build up a nice chain. Let me just listen a moment and see if I find another thing where I can give you a hint. Yeah. What you can do else is you can look in your instruments, the harmonic instruments, if you have somewhere a little bit more low mid energy, which you can push to give the whole thing more warmth. So basically I can see that this move helps the snare, it helps the warmth, but creates a little bit of collateral on the kick. So the kick sounds a little bit boxy, and this kind of boxiness happens often when you have a build-up in a range between 130 and 160, 180 hertz. So if you listen to your kick solo and you move through the frequency, then you will find a spot where all of a sudden you hear this boxiness, and you need to reduce this energy a little bit. Yeah, that would be it about this mix. And yeah, that was wrong. Let me look for another mix here. Yeah, I think I found something here. So let's look into that. I'm going to reduce the level a little bit. Da-da-da. Here we go. So, and we just listen to it.
On a late August afternoon, I sat on my suitcase and I waited for the train to bring me back to you. I saw the train coming and I went to the platform, took a last look at the city while my thoughts went to you. Nobody knew the secret in my heart. Nobody.
Yeah, it's, I don't know what kind of recording it is, probably in a recording in a rehearsal room, or recording from a small stage, or in a small recording studio whatsoever. Overall, it's okay balanced, but something is odd and weird, and it doesn't feel coherent, and it's it's a psychoacoustics thing basically. So the homework in the mixing stage is not perfectly done, in the sense of giving the different instruments the right room to make it appear right. So as a mixing engineer, you are a little bit like a puppet player, where you need to create this illusion that people play together in one room. And when you have closed mics, then you don't have a whole lot of ambience. And for example, I don't know exactly if there's reverb on the Rhodes. It appears to me as things together which are not together. It's like our job is to make it feel together, and it doesn't feel together. So this would be the most crucial thing. And I some people look strange at me when I say in my mastering courses, yeah, sometimes when the song is calling for, I need ambience, then give it ambience. So we can apply reverb and mastering, but we don't do that every time. So basically the trick is, I always tell my students, ask your tracks what they want from you. And this is true in mixing and in mastering. So I don't apply on every track an EQ and a compressor just because everybody would do that. I don't do that. I ask the track, I listen to the track, and I ask the track, what do you want? What do you need? And then I do what is needed. And when no compression is needed, I don't compress. When no EQ is needed, then I don't EQ. As simple as that. So let's not overdo things here. But in this case, reverb can do some magic. And I would take, for the sake of speed, I would take, yeah, let me large ambience is, I think, quite nice. Hey, stay there. And yeah, let me look a little bit. This looks pretty, could be probably a little bit bigger. Looks pretty good. Ta-da, where's the right knob on the remote? What I do is I insert that here and put it on a parallel knob and make it work parallel. And now I can dial in the reverb and see whether it fits and what it does. And to do so, I need to activate the external gear slot. And let's get back here and do that.
Nobody never touched a chord like you. No longer are you part of my dreams, because I love you with all my heart, because I love you with all my heart.
Isn't it amazing? It sounds instantly completely different. It feels different. So the idea is to not make the mix sound as if somebody has thrown reverb on it. You don't want to hear that in that sense. You just want to give as much reverb as it is needed to give the psychoacoustic perception of your brain the ability to figure out, hey, they are standing together in a room. Yay! And this exactly is happening. I create an illusion that they stand in the same room by giving them the same room. And try to hear that again. I toggle on and off here. How different it feels. So, without.
Nobody never touched a chord like you. No longer are you part of my dreams, because I love you with all my heart, because I love you.
Isn't that magic? It works so great, and you don't hear that there's a damn reverb on it because it's just an ambience thing. You could see that basically here. Let me toggle over. You could see that here I took, where is it? Here. 20, so full throttle early reflection and just 50%, so 10 of 20, reverb tail. So I just have a very tiny bit of reverb tail to let it sound natural, but the magic comes from the early reflection. And if you want to use in-the-box things, you certainly can find solutions. Just look for things like live room, studio room, recording room, whatsoever, this kind of things, early reflection. And in some plugins, reverb plugins, you have the ability to adjust the tail separately from the early reflection, and look for tools where you can do that and reduce the tail, use a nice realistic early reflection. It's like, I mean, we don't hear with our ears, we hear with our brains, basically. And you need to understand a little bit of psychoacoustics, and you can't add things to the mix and let them dry while other things have reverb. It sounds odd, at least on this subconscious level. Somebody would listen to that and feel it's wrong. It's not realistic, because I mean, our hearing is our sense which doesn't sleep. It works 24/7, and it's so great at detecting very small differences in time. We can listen down to 5 millionths of a second of delay between left and right, which is like a fourth of the distance between two samples. So our hearing is quite great. Even if we are not trained, we can hear that. And thus, we need this ability basically to figure out when some noise comes up, and I know it's coming from there, right? Because of the ability of the hearing to figure out this tiny running time difference. It would come faster to this ear than to this ear, and our brain can make the math automatically, subconsciously, and figure out noise comes from here, bam. And because we have this ability, music which is not mixed properly in terms of application of reverb and ambience, etc., feels odd. It doesn't feel unified. And now, as I have the reverb on, let me just apply a little bit of compression here to give it a little bit more sense of unification. Let me go there. Where is it? Yeah, here we go. So, ta-da! I need to start from scratch because I want to apply the compression first and then the reverb. So here we go. Compression is activated and we play it.
No longer are you part of my dreams, because I love you with all my heart, because I love you with all my heart. Nobody never touched a chord like you. No longer are you part of my dreams, because I love you with all my heart, because I love you with all my heart. Nobody
Listen in a moment when the BGV comes, when the background vocal pops in, and I hit the mono button.
All my dreams, because I love you with all my heart, because I love you.
Can you hear that the higher voices are too far out, and when I hit the mono button, they almost go away, and they at least go lower. So I would recommend to mix the higher voices a little bit further and pull down the overall level a little bit of that part. And then let's also look into the kick. I think the kick is a little bit underexposed here. The snare is quite solid, so it has a lot of body, etc. And I miss a little bit of kick here.
No longer are you part of my dreams, because I love you with all my heart, because I love you with all my heart. Rolling through the shimmering heat with the Rockies on right, passing tumble down barns, worn by the transients of time. I couldn't wait until El Paso.
Can you see how with this little moves, it falls a little bit into its place? I mean, we could discuss whether the vocal needs to be a little bit louder in the center, but you could also hear the snare is super dry. It lives basically in front of the singer, and it's supposed to live behind the singer to make sense. So you can't throw snare into the mix, which is so bone dry. And I definitely would recommend to make the kick louder and nice. And I would give the whole drums together with the bass ambient reverb on the mixing stage, not on the mastering stage, and make sure that all the other instruments have a little bit bigger reverb, like a tiny bit of a plate thing or some old school reverb to push it a little bit, and all these things make the stuff meld together, and then make sure that the singer comes with a reverb which creates glue with the rest, so that you perceive this unity feeling of the whole thing. Quite crucial. Okay, guys, I think these were the 2 songs we worked through for today, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. And probably, so this first issues of the mixing elevator live thing were kind of a first test thing. So to say, I don't know if we continue. I would love it. So if you want to have more of this, let Steinberg know that you want that, and probably we continue. So thank you for being with me here, and I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave comments if you liked it. Leave comments if you want something else, or if you're interested in some particular things. And I'm really sorry that I couldn't work through all the almost 100 songs. It would take quite a while, but probably we can work through more things in the future. So have fun and I hope my hints helped you to get a little bit further. Thanks. Bye.